The galaxy is filled with innumerable threats to the continued survival of the human race. While the galactic war rages on and many of these threats are known to us, there are several anomalies and groups that we have little or no insight into. Based on an analysis by the Ministry of Science and from some of the limited information we have received from various sources, today we will explore some of the least understood or known about aspects that could help or hinder us in the galactic war. For the last few months, a great deal of curiosity, interest, and even fear has surrounded the black hole that now stands in place of Meridian in the Umlaut sector. In a tragic turn of events, Super Earth had no choice but to implode the once thriving world, as it had been turned into a planet-wide supercolony by the disgusting Terminids. This was all as a direct result of the failure of the Terminid Control System, or TCS, that led to the accelerated mutation and replication of the bugs on numerous worlds. Although the scientists responsible were taken into custody and punished for their crimes against the Federation, the damage was already long done. With the Terminid presence on Meridian far exceeding safe levels, High Command made the difficult decision to annihilate the planet so as to prevent any further spread of the bugs. Using dark fluid, the Helldivers assaulted Meridian, filling the planet's crust with a large quantity of this anomalous, volatile material. Though it cost the lives of some 41 million Helldivers and SEAF soldiers, the operation was ultimately a success. Meridian collapsed, effectively giving way to a black hole with a luminous purple event horizon which, in turn, drew in every last Terminid spore within several billion kilometers, according to the Ministry of Science, that is. But the burning question now is whether the situation with the black hole is over or if it is, in fact, just beginning. Certain researchers in the Ministry of Science are not entirely convinced that the Meridian black hole is what we think it is. There is no definitive way to know at this point, but some of the big brains, as well as more than a few Helldivers, believe the Meridian black hole is actually a wormhole that may lead to some other part of space. So far, wormholes are nothing more than a theory, but if Meridian is in fact the first known instance of one, then there is no telling what might be in store for us. There are concerns that something may emerge from this alleged portal, perhaps an alien species from another galaxy that may possess superior technology and firepower. This seems to be the most popular theory so far, and while the chances of Meridian actually being some kind of gateway are extremely low, the Helldivers are actively standing guard near the black hole even as we speak. While the Meridian black hole remains something of a mystery, it may not pose the most imminent threat, if any, to our ongoing survival. A more pressing and present phenomenon that continues to plague the SEAF is the ominously named Gloom. So dense and pervasive is the Gloom that we cannot monitor what is going on within it, nor are our scanners and probes able to penetrate and analyze it. What we do know is that it is a dense yellow cloud of interstellar spores that currently blankets around a dozen different systems, obscuring any planets from our democratic eyes. At one point, the Gloom was practically doubling in size on a daily basis, which led to concerns that its growth may have been virtually unstoppable. However, as it stands, the Gloom's rate of growth has either dramatically decreased or stopped for the time being. While this is generally regarded as a good thing, there are legitimate concerns as to why it has stopped or if it is still growing beyond the galactic rim. At present, the Ministry of Science believes that the Gloom is some kind of genetic accelerator intended to speed up the mutation and spread of the Terminids. In other words, once we are able to make our way into the murk and actually visit the worlds the Gloom encompasses, there is a strong chance we may encounter enhanced variants of existing Terminids or even all new kinds we have never seen before. Fortunately, by liberating planets close to the Gloom, it actually reduces the size of the cloud, suggesting that Terminids must be present on nearby planets in order to sustain it. At one point, there were concerns that the Gloom would enter the Meridian black hole, meaning some or even the entire cloud would be swallowed up by it. In theory, this would mean the Gloom would at least be partially destroyed and the interstellar spores annihilated, but this is all under the assumption the black hole is not actually a wormhole. If it is a wormhole, the Gloom would be transferred elsewhere, meaning the Terminids could spread to worlds outside of our galaxy. We can only surmise what this would mean for the war effort, but any inhabitants in another galaxy would likely be very unimpressed with the bugs infesting their worlds. The Ministry of Science is admittedly perplexed by the Gloom, but is working on tech to help us deal with it and the Terminids that lurk within it. As it stands, the Gloom is being regarded as an imminent threat to the SEAF and is thus at the top of High Command's list of priorities. Solutions are on the way, but right now, there really is no telling exactly what the Gloom means for our future. As troubling, if not more so than the Gloom, is Cyberstan, the homeworld of our enemies from the First Galactic War, the Cyborgs. A few months ago, a massive automaton invasion force laid siege to several planets and overran the SEAF on Cyberstan. It now serves as the automaton's main base of operations and is, from what our agents have been able to observe, undergoing terraforming on a planet-wide level. And while it is believed that the Gloom is mutating Terminids on an unprecedented scale, the Ministry of Science theorizes that Cyberstan will be used to manufacture enhanced automaton units units or even ones we have never encountered before. There are also fears that the cyborgs may soon make an appearance and join the automatons as they continue their relentless advances across the galaxy. Whatever the truth, there can be no doubt that this spells trouble for the Helldivers and SEAF. In all likelihood, all of Cyberstan is now a single gigantic manufacturing plant that could be producing automaton units en masse, maybe even serving as the primary means of bolstering their army. Cyberstan's strategic importance cannot be overstated, and it is imperative that we find a way to recapture it in the not too distant future. Doing so would massively undermine the bots' war effort and even collapse their existing command structure, so plans are already being formulated to liberate this unholy rust bucket hellhole. This will be no simple task, as Cyberstan is almost certainly crawling with automatons and consists of gigantic, heavily defended fortresses. When the day comes for us to retake Cyberstan, it will claim the lives of millions of Helldivers and likely even make Malevelon Creek look relatively calm by comparison. Considering all the data and the very real threat Cyberstan poses, it is almost certainly the biggest danger to the survival and spread of managed democracy across the galaxy. The bots may lack our courage and strength, but they are masters of deception and cruel beyond understanding. In recent times, we have come to learn of the existence of a faction known as the Illuminari, a group that is seemingly sympathetic towards the Illuminate. However, the Ministry of Truth currently knows very little about this group, as they operate in secrecy and keep their activities as under the radar as possible. What is known is that the Illuminari is a religious cult that seems to worship the Illuminate, honoring them as divine beings that are far above human comprehension. The exact size and nature of the Illuminari is unknown, but it is believed to consist of thousands, if not millions, of citizens spread across the Federation. At present, all attempts to infiltrate the cult have proven unsuccessful, as operatives are either never allowed to join or disappear shortly after being deployed in the field. It is believed that the Illuminari are working on ways to bring the Illuminate back into our galaxy or assist any that may be present in spreading to worlds currently held by Super Earth. It is theorized that some worlds may be entirely loyal to the Illuminate, and that those present there may simply roll out the red carpet once their squid overlords finally arrive. While this scenario is indeed terrifying, it is a hypothetical for now and not considered an immediate priority by Super Earth High Command. Without more evidence of the Illuminari's existence and intentions, it is unlikely that any real plans will be formulated anytime soon. This does mean that if anything is actually being planned by this cult, then we will be taken completely off guard and unable to respond in a timeous and efficient manner. Thus, classifying the threat posed by the Illuminari is difficult, since the Ministry of Truth has yet to make any real inroads with the group. For this reason, the Illuminari pose a moderate threat to our ongoing success in the Galactic War. With the very real dangers posed by the bots and the bugs, it is unlikely this group will be given any serious attention unless more concrete evidence comes to light. Sadly, the danger posed by the automatons does not end with the existence and terraforming of Cyberstan. While the Ministry of Truth is hesitant to acknowledge their existence, several Helldivers have reported the presence of chromed automatons on the battlefield. Initially dubbed the Iron Legion, the name for this alleged automaton sub-faction is now the Iron Fleet. Much like the Illuminari, the size and exact location of the Iron Fleet is currently a mystery to the Ministry of Truth and High Command. This is because reports of these shiny automatons are scattered, and the instances in which they have appeared are rare. It is believed that the Iron Fleet is an elite faction of bots that are more heavily armed and armored than their standard counterparts. It is also widely agreed that the reason the automatons wished to take Imber for its titanium was so that they could begin or step up their production of Iron Fleet units. Fortunately, the Helldivers were able to mount a successful defense of the planet, thus delaying whatever nefarious plans the rust buckets had for the materials located beneath its surface. This does not mean that the Iron Fleet does not exist, and if anything, it proves that the bots are looking for ways to make themselves more powerful and resistant to our current arsenal. Again though, without more substantial intel about the nature and size of the Iron Fleet, it is difficult to make an accurate assessment of the potential threat this faction poses. It could very well be that Cyberstan is facilitating the construction of Iron Fleet automatons and is in the process of preparing them for imminent deployment. But again, without more intel on both, these are just assumptions at present. Although the evidence of the Iron Fleet's existence is still limited and mostly anecdotal, given the bots' presence and push to acquire resources on planets such as Imber, plans are being put in place should they arrive on the battlefield. With all these potential and imminent threats to democracy, Super Earth is not taking things lying down. With the successful liberation of Galavar from the clutches of the automatons, the Democratic Space Station, or DSS, has begun its first stage of construction. Of course, such a massive undertaking will take time, and the Helldivers will need to participate in several major orders to ensure that the DSS comes together as planned. To get the DSS fully operational, some new scientific breakthroughs are required, as it is much larger than a standard super destroyer. The first of 4 planned major orders for for the DSS involves the Helldivers clearing and holding Turing so that the Ministry of Science can build a new Xeno-Entomology Center. Building such a structure will allow our top minds to research and construct highly efficient E710-powered warp drives that will allow megastructures like the DSS to be redirected to other systems where it may be needed. Right now, much of how the DSS will work and what Helldivers will be able to do aboard this station is unknown. What has been revealed, though, is that it will be equipped with extremely high-powered weaponry that will make it very useful to the SEAF. The DSS will be moved using a democratic system, of course, whereby Helldivers will vote where to position it so that it may serve the best possible purpose. It is also assumed that Helldivers will be able to dock their super destroyers at the DSS and interact with other Helldivers in a kind of super hub, but this has not been confirmed by anyone from the Ministry of Science as yet. Despite the questions and mystery surrounding the DSS itself, there is no doubt that it will be a valuable tool that could turn the tide against our enemies. But naturally, if for whatever reason the Helldivers fail to complete all the major orders relevant to the DSS's construction, it may never be able to leave Gullivar's orbit, or will, at least, be delayed as far as deployment goes. But so far, everything is on track. A new cutting-edge technology is on the horizon. At any rate, the last thing we want is our enemies finding out about the DSS. While it is still being constructed, we can keep it mostly concealed, but eventually our foes will learn of its existence and take steps to nullify it. More details on the DSS will be released in the coming days and weeks, and we have no doubt it will play a huge role in pushing the bots and the bugs back into the holes they crawled out of. There may be uncertainty in the galaxy, but the lights of freedom and liberty will never be extinguished. Helldivers. There will always be unknown threats no matter how much intelligence the various branches of Super Earth's leadership structure gathers. There is no doubt that there are still many anomalies that we have yet to encounter, but as long as we remain united, there is nothing that can stand against us. We will of course do our part in relaying information to you as and when we receive it, but for now, we suggest you consider what you have learned here today and prepare yourselves for any eventuality. Our enemies will always find new ways to trick and demoralize us, but no matter what, we will always rise up and reclaim that which is rightfully ours. And so ends this broadcast from the SES. What do you consider to be the greatest threat to managed democracy right now? And do you believe the DSS will be enough to conquer our enemies? Be sure to let us know in the comments section. And of course, what other topics or items would you like to see in future broadcasts? Share your suggestions in the comments too. On behalf of High Command and the Helldivers, this is the SES signing off.